As soon as I finished the first draft of my book in summer 2025, I knew that this year was a very special year because for the first time in my life, I finally finished a book. There were many books I have started before, but I've never finished them, and there are some that are still in progress, and I know I want to finish them in the future, but I just haven't yet. But finishing that book actually taught me that A, I can finish a book, and B, this is what a book kind of looks like. Of course, it wasn't in its perfect, complete form, but it was a good, solid skeleton of a book, which I've worked on since then, and I will continue working going into the new year. So today I want to talk to you about the revisions process, how my December went in terms of writing, and also my plans for 2026 because I have some big plans. So, to be honest with you, I was hoping that by the end of December, I would be done with the first round of revisions and my book would be off to my alpha slash beta readers at this point. And this hasn't happened. And it's not for the lack of effort. I've been working on it, but the amount of revisions that I envisioned when I was starting this process is actually very different from the amount of revisions that this book requires. I don't even know if how much better I'm making this book. I'm definitely doing my best to make it better, but I am basically rewriting it because a lot of, I mean, in the beginning it was kind of solid, so I didn't change that much, but I still did a lot of like copy edits on that. But then in terms of developmental editing, I've been rewriting complete chapters and removing scenes and adding scenes, not really changing like the characters and stuff because the cast of characters that I had, I'm satisfied with it. But I am changing kind of like some of the interactions and I'm adding kind of more thematic elements throughout the story because it's solidified more in terms of what kind of a story I want to tell. And how I want my character to grow and develop by the end of the book. So all of this is changing, and because of that, I am basically writing that book again. And it requires a lot of time. So I am currently, and I can't even tell you like, oh, I'm a chapter this out of this, because originally when I wrote this book, my chapters were super long. They were too long, honestly, for middle grade. They were like maybe 3,000, 4,000 words. And now I'm making them shorter. So if before my chapters would take, I don't know, 15 pages or something like that, now they take more like 8. This restructuring is changing how many chapters they're going to be in the book, and it's just I cannot even pinpoint. I mean, I know I'm in the middle, like I'm revising kind of solidly in the second half of the middle, but I can't quite tell you exactly when I'll be done with the revisions. I'm trying to be done with them as soon as possible because I do need my alpha slash betters to read the book because I have a deadline now, so that's crazy. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is like the revisions process is really unpredictable. I now wish I've started earlier, but I could not. I told you my reasons before. Ideally, you shouldn't rush your book, right? So you have to give it space and time, and if it needs multiple rounds of revisions, that's fine. I'm just trying to look at it from the perspective of what if this becomes my career in the future. And I know that's very wishful thinking, but I'm trying to think like, okay, so if I am a career author and I probably will never depend on the money from books for my life because this probably won't be enough, but still, if you want to stay relevant, if you want to build readership, if you want your author name to be out there, you need to be producing books on quite a regular schedule. You can't just sit on a project for 5 years and expect readers to wait for you. So even though I'm kind of on a time crunch and I feel like I'm rushing through revisions a little bit, at the same time, I assume that's what it's like if you're trying to be a professional author. And you do have to learn how to work in a set amount of time. It might not be a couple of months. You might have 6 months or a year for revisions, but it's still a limited amount of time. So I think there are pros and cons to me working this way, but I am happy that I'm happy with the progress I'm making. And if nothing else, I'm learning how to work on a book kind of fast, kind of in a professional industry kind of a way. So in that way, it's good. Does it stress me out a little bit? Yes, but it also gives me momentum and gives me passion for it. And because I know I'm working towards a deadline and I know I'm working towards a very real and achievable outcome. So the reason why I'm on deadline this upcoming year is because I signed up for a writing conference in the end of March. And I paid a little bit extra for an opportunity to pitch my book to one of the agents who's going to be there. There are going to be multiple agents there, and I do recognize a lot of names because I've been watching a lot of agent content on YouTube and just researching agents and slowly adding them to my query tracker. But not all of these agents are interested in kind of projects I'm working on. So my book is a middle grade fantasy, and there are a lot of people who like I recognize their agency names, but they are not representing this type of a book. So there's only one person who I want to pitch there, and honestly, the reason I'm going to this conference is this person because I met them, not met them, I watched their content on YouTube just accidentally through many, many interviews that I watch with agents. And so when I saw this agent's name on the list of the conference agents, I was like, I know this guy. And so I am gonna pitch my book to him. And you should never pitch unpolished manuscripts, right? Because what if this person is interested and they want you to send them the book? It has to be ready. So because of that, I'm kind of rushing through my edits and my reads a little bit because I thought originally, okay, I'll finish my first round of revisions. I'm giving it to other writers I know, so they're not all of them are my critique partners per se. There are some people among those writers whose books I read and provided feedback on, but not all of them. And we are not in a kind of like partnership per se, but they're also writers, so I'm expecting the kind of feedback from them that a writer can give, more so than a reader. So I'm considering them to be more like alpha readers, even though the book, I'm hoping by the time I give it to them is gonna be in a decent shape. I am still expecting possibly even major changes to it based on their feedback, but hopefully not. Hopefully it's going to be small things, but that can make my book stronger if I implement them. So that's the plan with this round, right? So finish revisions, give it to this writer cohort, get there as they are reading it because I need to give them at least a month, which again is like putting me in a time crunch because at least a month, let's say I'm finished by January 15th. I don't know. Let's say I finish and I send it to them by January 15th. It means I cannot expect any feedback until February 15th at the very earliest, right? And so, but by that time, I would like to do revisions already again, right? So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna send it to them. I'm gonna keep on working on it as I see it. You know, if I can still tweak and like do things here and there as I'm expecting their feedback. And then as the feedback comes back, I'm gonna do another round, probably very quick and very intense. And then I'm planning to send it to another group of readers who are not writers, but who people who like to read and maybe people who like to read this particular genre. And I'm going to ask for their feedback. And so that is, I mean, I cannot expect that I'm going to hear from all of them. And that's fine. Some of them might even stop reading because they're not interested or something. But I'm going to get whatever feedback I can get from that second group, revise some more, and hopefully, as the result of all of this, my manuscript is going to be in the shape that I will feel confident pitching it. And I do understand. I'm kind of like on a seesaw in terms of how I see my project. There are times when I feel very good about it, and I feel like it's rings so true, and the voice is there, and the story is really there. That's on one side of it when I'm feeling kind to myself. And then sometimes I'm like, this has got to be amateur because this is my first book. What am I doing trying to pitch my very first book? Like, it's probably not good. And so I kind of move from one point to another, but I'm trying not to get stuck in that. And I'm just, I'm doing what I can do, and then it's going to be out of my hands. And the thing that really helps me be more gracious to myself is that I conceived of another project when I was in the middle of these revisions. So I have another project that I'm really looking forward to. So even when this book is on submission, even if I'm not 100% sure of its success or of its potential for success, I will be focused on this new project because I'm just so excited about it. So I'm not going to say anything about the new project. I'm just going to give you the name. It's called Project Bug, and that's going to be my main project of 2026. I'm very excited about it, mostly because of the narrator. I feel the narrator, and it's just, I don't know. I feel like it has a potential to be a very strong story. And it's gonna be a story, it's gonna be a standalone. That's how I envision that. 100% standalone. Um, as opposed to this book I'm currently working on, which is a standalone, can be a standalone, but I'm gonna market it as standalone with a series potential. And that's another thing I did in December. I kind of brainstormed a little bit what books 2 and 3 in this series could be. And there's a lot to explore there. I feel like I'm introducing a lot of interesting elements in this book that can be further explored. And so if somebody, if like, okay, first of all, finding an agent, a major win, if this happens, finding a publisher, another major win. But the biggest win would be to find a publisher who does see it as a series, because it would be such a shame if I don't get to explore those places that I'm introducing in this book. So that's all I'm going to say about it. But it can be a standalone. It does resolve by the end of it. This particular story does get resolved. So it's, yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, I feel so excited about this upcoming year in terms of my writing. I feel like I'm on a track that looks realistic in terms of my goals, because my goal is not like to get an agent, right? I'm not setting myself this goal. I'm setting a goal of querying, and I will be querying this year. And so even if nothing comes out of it, like, I'm excited about the process of querying. I'm excited to just learn what it feels like. And I've been reading so much about it, and I know there's the darkness in that, and I know it's hard, but I'm excited to join the group of people who are trying to make their books happen. So before that, I was trying to join a group of people who wrote a book. Now I'm trying to join the group of people who polish the book. And then I'll be joining a group of people who's trying to query their book. And so I'm excited about that. It makes it feel real. And regardless of the result, it makes it feel important, like it's happening in some way. And so, yes, these are my plans for 2026. I'm super excited, as you can tell. I feel like I just blabbered for like 10 minutes straight about everything out of order, but this is what it is. This is how I feel. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be a strong writing year for me. This is my focus. This is what I'm going to be thinking about, talking about, living it. And yeah, I'm excited about what 2026 has to offer. Anyways, let me know how your end of year happened. I don't know if you set any goals. I don't really usually put any specific goals, which you probably should. If you ever read any self-help books, that's what they say, just smart goals. Um, try to put them in writing or somehow make them apparent to yourself because otherwise it's very easy to let it go. But I know that life can be unexpected in many ways and unpredictable, and I don't want to put myself in very um, I feel like you can get discouraged if you pose goals that are so specific that and also like almost unattainable that you have a very good chance of completely failing them. Like by the end of 2026, if I don't have an agent, I don't want to feel like it was a failure because it's not. I am going into 2026 with a goal of trying to find an agent and with learning how to find an agent. But I also have other goals. Like I want to continue in my creativity. I want to write the first draft at least. Like that's a specific goal, but that's attainable goal. The first draft of that other project. And I want to learn to do this. I want to learn to let go of projects once they are complete. I want to learn to let go and focus on the next thing, and then let go of that thing and focus on the next thing. I want to learn how to do it, how a professional writer does it. So that's kind of my writing goal, my main writing goal for 2026. Anyways, I would love to hear what you have going on. How was 2025 for you and your writing? How was it for you otherwise outside of writing? And what are you looking forward in 2026? I hope this year brings you a lot of good things. Hopefully, some dreams or all dreams will come true for you and for me as well. So, anyways, good to chat to you. Happy New Year.